Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take your source material and, well, we distill it into the most potent insights, the surprising facts. Today, we're embarking on a bit of a literary adventure, a deep dive into the world of Liudmila Petrushevskaia. She's a truly remarkable Russian writer. You've given us these compelling excerpts from her collection. There once lived a woman who tried to kill her neighbor's baby. Quite a title.
It really is, and it's a fascinating collection, isn't it? Petrushevskaia, she navigates these themes of profound suffering, but also unexpected survival, and the blurred lines of reality with such unique insight. Our mission today really is to unpack her distinctive voice and the profound observations woven into these narratives. They can be dark, sometimes hopeful, but they're always compelling. We'll explore the fantastical elements, the raw human emotion, and the surprising resilience you find in her characters.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Liudmila Petrushevskaia. She was born in Moscow, 1938. Still lives there today, actually. She's written, over 15 collections of prose. And her short novel, The Time, Night, was shortlisted for the Russian Booker Prize back in '92. Many people credit her as, the progenitor of the women's fiction movement in modern Russian letters, and she's a renowned playwright, too. But her path to recognition was anything but easy.
Yeah, that prompts us to consider, the environment her work actually emerged from. Petrushevskaia was consistently out of favor with official Soviet literature for years because her stories, especially about Russian women, were considered, too dark, too direct, and too forbidding. That's the quote. Even her fairy tales apparently had this edge of despair. Imagine being told by an editor, this was in 1968, that there was basically no hope for your work ever being printed in the Soviet Union.
Wow. And a striking detail here is that she was banned, but it wasn't for explicitly political reasons.
Exactly. It wasn't like direct anti-Soviet stuff. It was more the tone, the subject matter.
So she scraped by, writing for TV, radio, occasional journalism, editing, translations, that kind of thing.
That's right. And her plays, which people compare to Harold Pinter's early work, they were staged sometimes, but then often shut down. Just like that. But her resilience, it just shines through, doesn't it? Her real breakthrough came much later, with the fall of the Soviet Union. In 1987, she was 49. Her first collection, Immortal Love, was this huge cultural event. Grim, realist tales, these acidic female monologues. And now, her stories are, central to university curricula. Her 70th birthday was a national celebration in Russia. After Solzhenitsyn's death, she's widely considered Russia's best-known living writer. Quite a turnaround.
Yeah, quite a journey. Yet she still seems controversial, doesn't she?
Oh, yeah. Some readers, they find it hard to get past the bleakness of her early work, even with the profound sympathy and hope that's often underneath it all.
And her unconventional literary life, like satirizing an old 1804 story or performing a one-woman cabaret in a huge hat. It makes sense why a Russian critic called her larger than life.
That description really fits, I think. This collection specifically, it focuses on her mystical and fantastical tales. They're often organized into these thematic cycles, and the introduction highlights this core concept. Nearly every story here is a form of nekia, a night journey.
Nekia, like a journey to the underworld.
Sort of, yeah. It's where characters depart physical reality under really exceptional circumstances, maybe a heart attack, childbirth, severe shock, and they're propelled into a kind of parallel universe. Petrushevskaia even coined a name for this secondary reality. The Orchards of Unusual Possibilities?
The Orchards of Unusual Possibilities. Okay, so connecting the dots, what does that mean for us, the reader?
Well, ambiguity is just paramount. You're always experiencing the story as if you're inside the dream, And the revelation, the meaning, is frequently left open. You're invited to decipher it. Is it a genuine mystical experience? A dream? A nightmare? Maybe a hallucination?
Right, so the usual urgency of, physical reality dissolves a bit.
Exactly. The focus shifts to the journey itself, which can be enchanting, but also terrifying. And as the introduction emphasizes, like Solzhenitsyn, she exposes harsh realities. But, and this is crucial, she also insists on a way out. There are reasons for her characters to return, infused with this deep sympathy and enduring hope.
Okay, let's dive into the first cycle then. Songs of the Eastern Slavs, described as dark, surreal, urban folk tales.
Right. We see this immediately in The Arm. You've got this colonel, his wife has died, he's grieving, and he loses his party card. Then his wife appears in a dream, tells him the card's in her coffin, but warns him, don't lift my veil.
And of course.
He lifts it. has to look.
And then what's particularly striking is how the dream just explodes into this chaotic, surreal war scene. German infantry, wounded soldiers, a pilot with a charred stump. It's bizarre. And the woman, whose voice he knows is his wife's, says, "Oh, why did you look? Now your arm is going to wither." He wakes up in the hospital. They found him in the cemetery. His arm is severely injured, maybe needs amputation.
Yeah, it's that immediate visceral consequence, isn't it? Disobeying the mystical warning ties grief and the supernatural directly to physical harm.
So that's the Nikia theme right there.
Absolutely. The world beyond directly impacting physical reality, blurring those lines in a really unsettling way.
Okay, so from that kind of supernatural dread, Petrushevskaia shifts gears a bit in revenge. This is more psychological darkness, right? Examining human hatred.
Yeah, this one's chilling in a different way. Raya just harbors this intense malice for her pregnant neighbor, Xena, tries to harm the baby, boiling water, bleach, needles left in the corridor. Awful stuff.
But Xena, the neighbor, she's unsuspecting, doesn't realize.
Not at all. In fact, she grows quite attached to Raya.
Yeah.
Even calls her practically an older sister, which makes Raya's actions even more disturbing.
So Raya keeps plotting.
Mm-hmm. Leaves a steaming kettle, canisters of what looks like water but is actually bleach. Then the climax. She hears the baby cry after a fall, and she mops bleach under Xena's door, and then these heart-wrenching screams. But the twist, it's extraordinary. After a week, Xena's gone. Raya breaks down the door, finds dust, dried blood, a trail. She cleans it all up, waits. Xena comes back, looking haggard, says she buried her little girl. Raya, who's suffering from joint pain, asks Xena for painkillers. Morphine, even.
And Xena refuses.
Says, "I'm not helping you die." Then as Raya is dying from pills she took herself, Xena reveals the truth.
Which is?
"My little girl is alive and well. She lives at a preschool. The stuff you spilled wasn't bleach, it was baking soda. I cooked the cans. The blood was just from Lena bumping her nose. So it's not your fault. Nothing is your fault."
Wow. So Xena knew all along, or suspected, and played this long game.
It leaves you wondering, doesn't it, about their relationship. Xena's incredible. Maybe terrifying resilience. It's this complex psychological game where Raya's malice is turned back on herself.
A perverse kind of justice, maybe?
Or just survival, or a really dark form of it.
Okay, and then briefly, Incident at Sokolniki. This one's short but poignant.
Very. Almost folktale-like. A woman, Lita, her husband, asks her to bury his flight suit in a forest pit before winter. He's too weak.
She does it.
And later dreams he thanks her. Says, "Thank you for burying me."
Yeah.
It's a stark, simple image of finality, release. The dream acting as a farewell.
Right. Moving on from those, let's explore the allegories and requiem cycles, often apocalyptic settings, relationships beyond death, starting with the new Robinson Crusoes.
Yeah, this one's framed as a chronicle of the end of the 20th century. The narrator and her parents, the escape when it began, whatever it was, to this remote country cabin. They have canned food, tools, a rifle, a bloodhound named Red. Standard survival kit almost.
But the father's activity is described as feverish, manic.
Yeah, he's plowing neighbors' land, scavenging from boarded-up houses, well, buckets, grandfather clocks, you name it. They interact with the few remaining villagers. There's Baba Anicia working hard to fend off hungry death, Marfutka, who's gone semi-savage, and Tanya, a nurse who was in a labor camp for stealing a pig. It's a picture of society reverting, but with these strange fragments of connection still there.
They're just making do, trading food, eating weeds.
Pretty much. Dandelions, weed soup. The father creates a hidden refuge in the forest, moving supplies secretly at night. It really makes you ask, when society collapses, what human values actually stick around?
And they take in others, despite the scarcity.
Yeah, that's the surprising part. They find an abandoned newborn, Naden, on their doorstep, take him in. And a traumatized little girl, Lena, whose mother died. So despite the harshness, there's this thread of care. The father has this line, it sums it up. If in fact we're not alone, then they'll come for us. Until then, they're being fed by our plot. When we're like Marfutka, they won't touch us either.
Wow. Cynical realism, dark humor.
Exactly. And they're always building the next refuge. Constant preparation for the next stage of survival.
Okay, then we have the miracle. This sounds emotionally complex.
Deeply. Nadia, a mother, finds her son Vova. Looks like he hanged himself. But the paramedic says it was a fake suicide attempt.
And Nadja discovers her hidden money's gone. Money saved for Vova.
Yeah. Vova, he's described as gentle but troubled. Started hanging with older kids, stealing from her, demanding things, first a tape recorder, then designer clothes, escalating.
And the hospital psychiatrist just dismisses the suicide attempt.
Calls it a joke. Nadia's distraught, desperate. She seeks out this local figure, Uncle Cornell, a so-called prophet living with bums in a boiler room. To get his miraculous advice, she thinks she has to bring him vodka.
So she goes to him, this Cornell.
Yeah. He's filthy, emaciated. He asks for something of her sons. She gives him a used handkerchief stained with her tears. Cornell has a drink and then says this shocking thing: "Your grandfather killed 107 people, and now you're about to kill me." He implies her wishes for her son, study, work, marry, but never be home, are actually selfish, destructive, like she's feeding his destructive path.
And then Cornell's mother shows up, Andreevna.
Right. Equally pragmatic, cynical, tells Nadia to give him more vodka to get her wishes fulfilled.
This sounds bizarre.
It is. Andreevna starts rattling off Cornell's past miracles, healing the lame, raising the dead, but every single one had some ironic, disastrous consequence. It totally subverts the idea of easy salvation. The real miracle isn't Cornell doing anything. It happens when Nadia just lets go. She realizes it's futile, lets the last glass of vodka spill. Then she's on the street, lightheaded, her mind clear, free of all burdens. She passed her hardest test by surrendering that destructive hope, that need to control.
Finding peace through surrender. Okay, then the god Poseidon. Another glimpse into unreality.
Definitely. The narrator visits her friend Nina by the sea, finds her in this magnificent, dreamlike house marble vast rooms, a huge contrast to Nina's previous life, which was impoverished.
But Nina seems glum.
Yeah. She claims the landlady's young fisherman's son is actually the son of Poseidon, bringing riches from the ocean floor.
And the narrator observes Nina's passivity, thinks something like, go with the flow, don't fight the current.
Which becomes incredibly chilling later, because the twist, when the narrator gets back to Moscow, is devastating. She learns Nina never moved. She drowned with her son in a ferry accident right near where the narrator was vacationing.
Oh no, so the whole house, the son of Poseidon, it was all...
A coping mechanism, a delusion, a psychological Nikia where her mind crafted this comforting fantasy to escape an unbearable tragedy. It really underscores that thin veil between reality and illusion.
Wow. Okay. Finally in this section, my love, a different kind of exploration. Devotion, obsessive.
A very unique one. You have this man who keeps a magazine photo of a woman's legs. That's his chosen one. Meanwhile, his dutiful wife, who loves him fiercely, manages their chaotic life.
And he's just waiting for her to die while having affairs.
Essentially, yeah. He exercises, works hard, takes business trips with his forbidden friend. The wife's devotion is self-effacing, and her physical decline mirrors how draining her love is. Her death becomes this ultimate sacrifice, and it completely transforms him. After she dies, he collapses. In his sleep, he hears her call him, "my love."
And when he wakes up...
He's peaceful, and the photo of the legs, his obsession, it's just gone from his life, holds no interest anymore. It's a really poignant look at how love, loss, and letting go of obsession can reshape you, revealing a deeper connection that only becomes clear when it's gone.
Okay, let's shift now to Petrushevskaia's fairy tales. She calls them real fairy tales, right? Delving into mystical, ambiguous realities.
Exactly. The Fountain House starts with tragedy. A bus explosion, a 15-year-old girl's killed. Her father, deeply religious, is grief-mad. He bribes ambulance staff, a doctor, to steal his daughter's body from the morgue and admit her to intensive care. He's hoping for a miracle, to revive her.
And the doctor agrees. Why?
His motivations are brutally practical. Desperate for money, wife just had a baby. Mother hates the wife, constant night shifts. The bribe is 6 months' rent. So he works on the dead girl as if she's alive. Meanwhile, the father, tranquilized, is dreaming.
And these dreams, they sound intense.
Oh, yeah. He visits his daughter in this paradise-like house, brings her a sandwich, opens it, finds a raw human heart. His daughter demands to eat it. He knows if she does, she'll die. Later, he sees blood going from his arm to hers. He wants to die so she can live. Another dream, she sinks her nails into his arm, and he wakes up to a doctor giving him a shot right there.
So it blurs the line again. Mystical experience, sacrificial journey, or just hallucinations from trauma and maybe a heart attack under anesthesia.
Precisely. The ending is deliberately ambiguous. The daughter does recover. The father insists she was only in shock. But he keeps quiet about the raw heart he ate. Says, dreams don't count.
It captures that struggle, doesn't it? To rationalize the terrifying, to impose reality on the inexplicable.
It really does. It's pure Nekia, the journey into that other realm, subconscious or parallel, directly impacting the physical outcome. A path to healing, maybe literally, maybe metaphorically.
Okay, next is the shadow life. An orphan girl, Xenia.
Yeah. Her mother disappears, just like her father did years before. The grandmother chillingly suggests the mother, after being fired, might be at a mental hospital for seeking justice. Xenia gives her mother's earrings to a doctor for a venereal disease test, a strange detail that seems to trigger this nightmarish underworld experience.
She gets abducted.
By three dark-skinned teenagers call themselves Greeks. They're arguing about who goes first because one have a bad disease. Really menacing. She's rescued at a construction site by an old man and a woman who looks just like her mother. The old man speaks the attacker's language, dismisses them, hints at something otherworldly.
He locks her in a cupboard.
Yeah. She wakes up, arms bruised. Her grandmother gives her the same earrings back again, suggesting this cyclical, unavoidable trauma. When Xenia goes back to the construction site looking for her rescuers, it's completely different. Sunny day, houses, gardens, no sign of the dark, scary place.
So the place itself changed, or her perception.
Exactly. Her grandmother then walks her to a dump, not the train station she expected. Xenia, now weirdly in a winter dress, believes her mother's grave is nearby. She cries, leaves town for good, never searches again, but always wears the earrings. It's this powerful journey of coming to terms with loss without closure. Moving on, but marked by the experience with a transformed sense of reality.
Wow. Okay, the Cabbage Patch Mother? This sounds
Yeah.
unusual.
Deeply unusual and quite tender. A woman claims her tiny daughter, Droplet, wasn't born naturally but found in a head of cabbage. Literally. Droplet never grows, fits in the matchbox. The doctor examines her with a magnifying glass and says, this isn't the right place for her to live. Droplet herself has these dreams, a distant star, beings with wings that melt, descending into a cave.
And this ties into the mother's past.
Yes, the mother reveals she had an abortion after her husband left. A hermit monk tells her she has to return Droplet to the cabbage.
She actually does it.
Despite immense turmoil, yes. Places Droplet back into the cabbage bud on her balcony, spends the summer terrified, won't look, but stands in the rain to show Droplet rain isn't scary. It's this heartbreaking act of continued care.
And then...
First snow falls. She opens the balcony door, hears a cat meowing, finds this enormous, glorious cabbage, and on top, a thin, ugly baby, all red, with flaking skin, crying. A scrap of red silk stuck to its head.
Not Droplet.
No. The mother's confused. Where's Droplet? Who left this baby? But then, instinctively, like every mother on earth, she takes the baby to her breast, feeds her. Later, the cabbage plant grows long shoots, and the baby, now walking, points at it and laughs. It's this incredible story of acceptance, substitution, the transformative power of maternal love, embracing life in its most unexpected forms, redefining what's hers.
That's beautiful in a very strange way. Okay, Marilina's secret. A fat, circus strong woman.
Enormously fat, yes.
Ah.
But at night, she secretly transforms into two average-sized, pretty twin ballerinas, Maria and Lena, who dance.
How?
A magician cursed them. He tried to propose to one twin, the blonde, but the brunette interfered. So he fused them into one enormous woman, unable to cry but forced to dance secretly for 2 hours every night.
Sounds like a proper fairy tale curse.
Totally. And the details are great. The wizard himself is miserable, turns past lovers into objects. The twins have this fairy butterbread enchantment. Anyone who tries to separate them turns into a dysentery germ.
A dysentery germ. Okay.
So Marilena gets rich from the circus, advertising deals. Her new soul becomes fat and gluttonous. She stops caring about the two souls inside her. It really asks, what happens when we trade our true selves for external gain?
Her fiancé, Vladimir, tries to get her to diet.
Sets up this whole campaign, takes her to a windowless clinic. She realizes she's been poisoned, trapped. The two twin souls inside start their slow farewell waltz. Seems like the end.
But there's a twist.
A miracle. A wall slides open, reveals a garden. Security guards grab them, try to separate the twins. One cuts Maria's arm from Lena's.
And turns into a dysentery germ.
Poof. Exactly. The sisters escape, become successful dancers. Vladimir and his accomplice face ruin. It's a delightful case of one evil defeating another. Magic and authenticity win out over greed.
Love it. Okay, next, the old monk's testament. Back to something more somber.
Yes. Takes us to a remote monastery. Monks living in extreme poverty, constantly robbed by local thieves. The head monk, Tryphon, collects donations in villages. He's often mocked, robbed, even beaten. He learns about a young widow whose husband was killed by two robbers, Red and Blondie, while taking their sick baby to a doctor.
And Tryphon wants to help.
Deeply. He gives his last coins to the widow, then goes to a bar where Red and Blondie hang out. Loudly announces he's carrying a sack of gold, knowing they'll follow him.
Setting herself up.
Absolutely. He's later found dying, knife in his chest, near a spruce tree, just as he'd foretold. His last request is for the widow to stay by his grave for 30 days.
And the robbers.
They confess to killing Tryphon, but nobody believes them. They're just dismissed. But strangely, the murders and robberies in the town just stop.
And the widow stays by the grave.
As instructed. And her sick son, who could barely walk, miraculously stands up. The town transforms, builds a chapel, a hotel. But the monk's miracle only seems to help the honest, virtuous, and poorly treated, especially widows with children.
So it's about self-sacrifice, but maybe a calculated act producing a kind of targeted miracle.
Exactly. The quiet power of good, transforming a community, even if rooted in this very deliberate, earthly sacrifice. It's a subtle, lasting change.
Okay, last one in this cycle, the black coat. This sounds like peak Nikia.
It really is. A girl, memory loss, traveling through a ruined city. With her are a grinning driver and a silent, skinny passenger in a black hooded coat. Very ominous. She finds empty apartments, uses her key to get in. Each time her companions are already there, eating from piles of rags which turn out to be her own possessions.
A nightmarish loop. She tries to escape them.
Yes. She meets a woman holding a burning match. The woman gives cryptic advice about waking up from this horrible nightmare. Reveals her own match is almost out. Her memory returning, she tried to kill herself.
And as the girl's own last match burns out,
she sees flashes of her own life, a chair, a scarf, a note about pregnancy, forgiveness. She touches the strange woman's coat with the dying flame. The coat vanishes, shrieking. The woman vanishes too, and the girl wakes up, choking on a scarf. Her own suicide attempt. Her mother hears her, asks if her throat is sore.
Wow, a terrifying return to reality.
This visceral return from the orchard of unusual possibilities. The woman in the black coat, the helper who vanished, seems to represent a part of the girl's own desperate, suicidal self that she confronts and overcomes. By burning the coat, she chooses life, reconciliation.
Facing inner demons to find a reason to live. Powerful.
Incredibly powerful, no matter how painful that return to reality is.
So pulling it all together then, Petrushevskaia's collection, it's a masterclass really in confronting life's absolute bleakest moments, but then finding these unexpected paths to freedom, sometimes even grace, whether it's these literal underworld Nenekia journeys or the psychological labyrinths of survival and despair her characters endure. They find a way back, often against all odds, maybe not to the life they knew, but to something transformed.
Yeah, what really stands out looking across all these stories is that potent blend of the absolutely mundane and the truly magical. It constantly challenges your perception of reality, doesn't it? Whether it's, a mother finding peace after that twisted revenge or a father's dream literally saving his daughter in the fountain house. Petrushevskaia shows us that transformation often comes from the deepest, darkest parts of human experience. It blurs those lines between what's real and what we just believe or need to believe.
It definitely invites us, the readers, you listening, to consider in our own lives, when does that line start to blur between a dream, a nightmare, or maybe a genuine mystical transgression? And what unusual possibilities might be waiting for us, maybe hidden in the most unexpected corners of our own reality? Something to think about.